afternoon to all and everyone. Firstly, I would like to express my gratitude, heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Joshi for this kind invitation, for this opportunity to be with you, to meet with my colleagues and friends, ambassadors and diplomats from our friendly countries, to exchange views and to represent my country as economy once again. So I would like to know the high level of development of Russian-Indian relations in different areas. High dynamics of Russia-India contacts on various levels reiterates the special privileged strategic partnership between our countries. As a trade commission, being a part of the Ministry of Industry and Trade of Russia, we are engaged into development of the Russian-Indian trade and economic relations, assisting Russian companies to enter to Indian market and facilitate their activities here. Though the establishment of the first business context in traditionally being associated with the journey of Russian merchant Afanasy Nikitin to India in the 15th century, the systematic dialogue in trade and economic sphere aimed at long-term perspective and meeting the interests of both countries to the full extent was set in the middle of the last century. Particularly, the first trade agreement in the history of Russia-India relations, as well as establishment of the trade representation of our country in the Republic of India, was officially held on the 2nd of December 1953. It means that the trade representation of Russia in India has been providing constant assistance to Russian and Indian participants in foreign economic activity for more than 70 years. In the second half of the 20th century, our specialists took active part. Now, when I speaking about our specialists, of course, I mean all our Soviet specialists those times. Active industrialization of India. Vast implementation of our technologies contributed to the development of national competences in basic sectors of Indian economy, particularly in metallurgy, mining, power and agriculture. Essentially, it was back then when the basis of technological sovereignty of India was laid by the mutual efforts. Over the past decades, the format of relations was changing. The scope of areas of cooperation was expanding. Together, we traveled this long and challenging path, overcoming declines in trade, reaching new heights, steadily strengthening our partnership traditionally based on the principles of mutual trust and respect. Nowadays, the trade representation supports establishment of direct business relations between companies of the two countries and assists in identifying promising niches as well as barriers that make difficult to implement projects. Moreover, it would be worth mentioning that the trade representation is a kind of guide for entrepreneurs of both countries, helping to find potential business partners and make the best informed business decisions. Being a structural unit of the Ministry of Industry and Trade of the Russian Federation, the trade representation undertakes activities on the entire range of the economic agenda of bilateral relations beyond industrial topics. It is no secret that in recent years the tasks of the trade representation have expanded and been adopted to the current conditions of development of international economic relations. The work of this institute now involves active participation in the reorientation of export flows, the organization of imports of priority goods, the establishment of mutual settlement mechanism, the development of new international transport and logistic chains. There is a number of advantages regarding, there is no need to mention that Russia is the largest country. You are all aware of that. Of course, the population of our country 146.2 million people is not that big, especially in comparison with India, where just only in Uttar Pradesh state the population is almost 236 million people. But still, Russia is a considerable market with solvent and solid demand. There is a number of advantages regarding working in the Russian market, including the following ones: significant state support for small and medium-sized businesses, developed infrastructure, and the level of taxation is lower than in many other countries. Many significant industries are introducing digital technologies and AI. More of the advantages are shown on the slide. In recent years, the Russian economy constantly had to overcome new challenges. First, it was COVID-19 pandemic, which led to logistics disruption. Last 2 years, global economy faced a more serious test. This impacted the supplies of oil products, fertilizers, and food products. It also led to acceleration of inflation in many countries. Also, it aggravated the complication in international transport flows, cargo insurance, and conduction of financial transactions. Talking about GDP, it is worth saying that last year showed an increase by 3.6%. It was mostly influenced by the growth of indices of the physical volume of value added in a number of industries shown on the slide. Another important factor of GDP increase, growth by 6% in private consumption, both products and services, which can also be a positive signal for companies in this sector. Therefore, there is no doubt that Russian economy recovered to its pre-crisis level, showing slow but sustainable growth. Industrial cooperation is one of the key elements of Russia-India partnership. Joint projects in the field of railway engineering, metallurgy, mining and chemical industry, pharmacy, information technologies, and other spheres are being implemented and carried out. Cooperation in the field of agriculture, power, including nuclear, banking and finance, customs, transport and logistics, education, cultural and humanitarian areas is being successfully developed. Russian business shows growing interest in localization of production in India, orienting towards state programs such as Make in India and Self-Reliant India. And as soon as there is a great amount of well-developed industries in Russia with a number of companies in each of them, I can see the potential of strengthening the bilateral industrial cooperation. This slide shows the most promising areas of import from India to Russia. As far as certain components and technologies are concerned, we will definitely rely on trusted foreign partners. We are working in this manner with our Indian friends for decades. Exchange competencies and experience in the most perspective technological areas. We will put maximum efforts to expand our cooperation ties. To secure the principles of free trade with our partners unexposed to unjustified external limitation, we have duly undertook a set of effective measures. In particular, the Ministry of Industry and Trade allowed import of original goods without consent of the rights owners from unfriendly countries with a compliant list of more than 90 brands, so-called parallel import. Among the most demanded goods under the program are components and equipment for automotive industry as well as for road construction, products of chemical and pharmaceutical industries, clothing and appliances. Besides, we've launched the program of preferential loans and insurance of Russian importers towards procurement of priority products from foreign countries. I'm sure that this will create outstanding opportunities for Indian companies to increase the supplies to Russia of these and other products. In order to add more confidence in Russia's existing and potential business partners, it would be interesting to note that Russia has risen by 64 positions in the ranking of ease of doing business from 92nd place in 2014 to 28th place in 2020. This could be the result of a number of successfully implemented mechanisms throughout various industries for manufacturers and investors fulfilling their projects in our country. As far as foreign direct investment in Russia are concerned, here you may see key figures of global FDI as well as India's FDI to Russia. One of the most viable platforms for foreign direct investments and allocation of production facilities on the territory of Russia are special economic zones, says. The Russian special economic zones are established in order to boost manufacturing development, including high-tech industries, shipbuilding, transport infrastructure, tourism, to create new technologies and commercialize its results, to produce new goods. Currently in Russia there are 50 special economic zones, including 31 CES for industrial production, 7 for technological and innovation companies, 10 recreational and 2 port CES. For investors allocating FDI in special economic zones, the Russian government is given certain preferences and exceptions. CES in Russia are among the most efficient instruments of business support, as they contribute to reduction of cost of investment projects. One of CES advantage for investors is availability of absolutely new cutting-edge engineering and transport infrastructure, which can significantly accelerate conducting investment projects. Okay. Here you may see the figures of Russia's foreign trade. Due to certain restrictions, I am unable to provide you recent data, but I may assure you that we have managed to keep the recovery pace, switching to new markets, and slowly but steady the negative impact of third countries' actions is being neutralized. It is necessary to mention that despite the increase in supplies of traditional goods such as mineral, fertilizers, crude oil and oil products, coal, we dynamically increase export of certain types of food products, in particular sunflower and soy oils. Along with that, we increase the imports of raw materials in demand for Russian industry, equipment and spare parts from India. Indian supplies on the Russian market successfully occupying niches that became available after withdrawal of Western companies. Here you may see the structure of Russian import. It is dominated by engineering products, electronics, cars, tractors and chemicals. This shows that India may definitely capitalize the momentum as the backdrop of Western companies withdrawn from our market. Taking into account that Indian government pays big attention to the development of these particular sectors, and of course, the producers of these goods will need export markets. Indian goods, being of high quality and of reasonable price, are welcome in Russia. And this is what we have to offer to our partners. Being rich in resources, we already became the major supplier of crude materials to India, and we are ready to increase these suppliers. However, we need to diversify our trade basket. You are all aware that Russia is very strong technological sectors: IT, services, metallurgy, chemical sector, nuclear, space, to name a few. Vast opportunities for good synergy open here. Both our countries have certain strengths from which we may benefit greatly through cooperation. Over the recent years, despite challenges our countries are facing, trade and economic relations develop rapidly. Here I am relying on Indian statistics. here. In 2023, bilateral trade turnover almost doubled compared to 2022 and equal to almost 65 billion US dollars. Imports increased by 41% to almost 4.1 billion US dollars. We may state with confidence that the following growth trend may continue. But worth to say that there is still a long way to go. Currently, share of industrial products in our trade turnover is still low, only 17%. In Russian export, 11%, in Indian export, 74%. Meanwhile, under new conditions, Indian manufacturers are successfully able to replace Western suppliers who have left the Russian market. Moreover, it is obvious that our trade is dominated by Russian supplies of crude, coal, mineral fertilizers. Moreover, Russian export is more than 10 times as high as import from India. Together with our Indian partners, we are trying to equalize this situation. But I would like to urge Indian business to be more aggressive in this regard. A lot of opportunities are opening on the Russian market, and we do welcome Indian entrepreneurs to capitalize these opportunities. It is in the interest of both our countries. As far as logistics are concerned, all routes mentioned on this slide are functioning on a regular basis. As you may see, there are various options available for shipments using several means of transportation. Russia considers the development of transport and logistics infrastructure as one of the most important tasks. These areas should be worked through in detail by our relevant agencies. In particular, India could become one of the key partners within the framework of development of international north-south transport corridor. Due to its geographical location, this route can become a central logistics hub for transshipment of significant amount of goods, with main focus on building materials, metallurgy, cement, fertilizers, lumber, coal. In the framework of this project, it is planned to develop 2 zones in each country of the route, 2 in Russia, 2 in Iran, 2 in India. They could be multi-purpose free economic zones located near key port, mainly focused on the production of engineering equipment, electronics, pharmaceuticals, auto components, which in turn could promote the development of imports of high value-added products from India to Russia. A few words about payments. In general, we have managed to overcome main difficulties faced in the first half of 2022. Today in India, there are Russian banks, namely Sberbank, VTB and Gazprombank, providing all kinds of banking services, including settlement in national currencies. All payments go smoothly and in timely manner. Russian and Indian authorities continue to work on further facilitation, and more banks from both sides starting to provide services to business from both countries. There are also options to use third countries' currencies. And of course, banks that are not under sanctions may continue to carry out settlements in hard currency. As soon as main emphasis of current business conclave is dedicated to India-Central Asia economic and industrial strategic connections, it would be unfair not to mention the Eurasian Economic Union, where Russia is represented as a member state. We put special importance to the issues of mutual access of production to the markets of Eurasian Economic Union member countries. Together with Eurasian Economic Commission, we are counting of activization of negotiations of conclusion of free trade agreement between India and Eurasian Economic Union. For Indian business, entering the market of any Eurasian Economic Union member opens opportunities to seamlessly expand operation to all represented countries and to launch multilateral projects. And in conclusion, to the participants of today's business conclave, I wish interesting exchange of views on the prospects for the development of trade and economic relations, and of course, on the role of the trade representation in this important work. Our contacts are on the slide. I hope the representation was useful enough and gave you preliminary understanding of the Russian market and focus areas where we can further develop joint collaboration. Thank you for your patience. Thank you.